The title speaks for itself. Who should win Game of the Year in 2024? There are many award shows out there, but the Game Awards stands apart as the one show everyone talks about, whether it's positive or negative. As we approach this year's show, the nominees for Game of the Year have been announced, and I want to run through each game quickly, giving my opinion where I can, and ultimately deciding which game should win this year's award. 2024's Game of the Year nominees consist of the following games: Astro Bot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Starting with Astro Bot, I love this game. It is more than deserving to win any award that comes its way, and may even be my personal Game of the Year. It was charming, had the most interesting collectibles I've ever had the pleasure of collecting in a video game, and it featured some of the most fun gameplay and the best level design I've ever experienced in a platformer. If you want to check out more about my opinion on Astro Bot, I'll link my review in the description. Overall though, how likely is it to win Game of the Year? I honestly believe it does have a great chance. It shocked everyone with just how good it was, even me, and I would not be against it winning whatsoever. However, I will say it is not the one who I think will take the crown this year. Balatro is the next nominee, and it's one of the most unique games to ever be nominated for Game of the Year. I'm not personally against it being here either. Balatro is a fantastic card-based indie title developed by a one-man team and became an overnight sensation. Sure, it's not your standard AAA game, but its success deserves to be showcased. I don't believe it really has any chance of winning Game of the Year. I don't think it's undeserving of a place on this list. The next game nominated was Black Myth Wukong. Honestly, a bit of a surprise on this list. It's the only game on the list that I have not personally played, sorry about that, so my opinion on it is non-existent in that regard. However, it is one of the lowest review scored games to ever be nominated for Game of the Year. And while that might not mean a lot to some, it is a bit weird for the Game Awards to do this, because they never have done this before. It certainly has a following online, and I can understand why that may have gained it a place on this list. It doesn't seem like a bad game whatsoever, and I'm not saying it is. I'm just shocked it was nominated simply because of the review score. Will it win though? There's always a chance. But I don't think the Game Awards will swing favourably in its direction this year. Now for the strangest entry on this list by far. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, the DLC. A phenomenal 30-hour long DLC, but still DLC. The quality is there, and it rivals many full game releases. The gameplay is on par with, if not better than, the main game. The bosses are incredible. The open world is great to explore, but should a DLC be nominated for Game of the Year? In my opinion, no. This was a huge misstep from the Game Awards. There should be a separate DLC, expansion, maybe even remake, remaster category. But I think being nominated for Game of the Year is just a step too far. While it stands as one of the best DLCs ever, and is on par with many games out there, at the end of it all, it's still an extension of Elden Ring. You have to play a significant part of that game to even start this DLC. I think this spot should have gone to many of the other deserving nominees this year. I do feel like this was an excuse to have the orchestra play Elden Ring themed music towards the end of the show. Regardless, it's a great DLC. It has a chance at winning, but I think these last two entries will be the ones to beat. Metaphor ReFantazio is the penultimate nominee here, and it has a very high chance of winning if you ask me. However, I do believe it will suffer the same fate as Persona 5 did, just falling short. The game itself is a fantastic spin on that Persona formula with a fantasy twist to it. It improves on nearly every aspect, and there is no question whether it deserves to be on this list or even win the whole thing. However, like I said, I think this year belongs to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'll also link my full review of this game in the description so you can understand my opinions towards it. But Rebirth is my definitive game of the year. Is it perfect? No. I take issues with some of the bloated sections and minigames. However, the story is excellent, exploration and side content were great, and it's visually stunning, really lived up to the hype that was set by the previous entry. I do think Rebirth will win this Game Awards Game of the Year. So that's my opinion on this year's Game of the Year award. Let me know who you think will win, as well as any of the games that you think should have been nominated. And trust me, I'm aware there were many snubs this year. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.